Narp, come watch, it's time, set the clock. Hitting like Ray off the block. Feel like MJ with the rock. Home run like Sammy Sosa. 2 clutch last period. Get ready, set, go. This a Narp experience. It's a Narp experience. It's a Narp experience. It's a Narp experience. It's a Narp experience.
Welcome back to the NARP experiment. We got a fun little exercise Decker and I did throughout this past week. Just kind of taking a look at the Nets after having what we would call a full roster. You know, the 3 stars finally getting a chance to play together. They played the Cavaliers in back-to-back games. The first game with all 3 of the studs in Harden, Durant, and Kyrie. Kyrie made his return, looked great, and then Kevin sat out the second game. It was just Harden and Irving, but Kyrie once again looked great, looked like his usual scoring self. But there's been some chatter around the league whether it's to not this is the kind of roster that they want to make a championship run with. And throughout the week, me and Decker were discussing some potential trades, and we both came up with 4 teams each that we think Kyrie could be moved to in order to get some depth and some defense, because this team needs it badly. So, Dex, go ahead and introduce us to our first trade.
All right, we're going to alternate just the ones that we came up with. So the first one that we did, I came up with. Now, I'm just going to preface it that this one is highly, 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 highly unlikely to happen, whereas I think all the other ones that we did were maybe minus 1 or 2. This is definitely one of the, out of the 8, least likely ones. Not the least likely one. It is to Kyrie to the Mavericks. My beloved Mavs need a 3rd star. They want another ball handler, somebody who can score. Kyrie fits the bill, so what do they send to get him? In this trade, we have the Mavs sending out James Johnson, Tim Hardaway Jr., Willie Cauley-Stein, Dorian Finney-Smith, Brunson, and then 4 picks. We have them sending out a 2nd rounder in 24 and 25. Then first, 25 and 27. This trade would have to wait until March 1st to be done, because we're probably signed with us. So we can't trade him yet, and we'd also have to get our first-round picks that we sent to the next Kristaps deal. We'd have to get rid of the protections on those. That way we'd be eligible to send our 25 first. So with all that being said, we would send all that, 2 firsts, 2 seconds, in later years. None of these are anything. Jalen Brunson, Dorian Finney-Smith, Willie Cauley-Stein, Tim Hardaway Jr., and James Johnson, or Kyrie and Dinwiddie. Now, obviously, Kyrie and Dinwiddie are better than all the players on the Mavs side, but Dinwiddie might never play another game for the Nets, so they might want to just ship him out now to get something for him, because he has a player option next year for $13 million, and he might opt out and get some more extended money, because it would be a gamble. I don't know that it would be a gamble for someone to sign him this offseason without improving himself coming back from the torn ACL, but there's no way to know if Spencer will sign, and I could see it going either way. I could see somebody offering him like $13 million for 3 years for that.
Yeah. I was gonna say I could see a similar contract. He's making 11.4, as you can see right now, and then has a player option for 12 something. We could definitely see him get some sort of deal long term at that probably same dollar amount. It just more or less comes down to, will he? You know, sometimes players get, I wouldn't say locked into a decision or not, but, you know, their agent's telling them one thing and they're trying to do something else. And he just tore his ACL at the beginning of the year. So he'll have a whole year off, which is good for him to recover, but maybe it's a year where he thought he had a chance to prove himself to go out and maybe land himself more of a 17, 18, 19 million dollar a year contract instead of a 13 or 14 over the same amount of years time.
Yeah, so that would be why they'd include him in here, and just the match set. Obviously, Kyrie would come to Dallas too, and then that'd be big three of Kristaps, Kyrie, Luka, and then I don't know what the Mavs would do. It would be, like I said, it's the same thing, different city at that point. And the Mavs would be losing a couple of key guys. Tim Hardaway is definitely probably their most important role player. Willie Stein, just because he's really our only other guy who can put the ball in. Brunson, Brunson can't do. He's more of a playmaker, or general point guard. So the Nets would be getting Brunson, who would help them. I'm sure he'd run the second unit. He'd be scoring. Dorian Finney-Smith, one of the best wing defenders in the league. That helps them there. Willie Cauley-Stein, he's another solid big that you can play just in case anything goes on with DeAndre Jordan, because the Nets are in love with him.
Well, they needed another serviceable big. We saw after trading Jared Allen that there's no way that they could just run with DeAndre Jordan playing center all year. And I know they have some lineups where Jeff Green plays that as well. And Jeff Green's been having an amazing season so far, but they definitely needed some other center down there, rim protector, rim blocker, rim runner. And Willie Cauley-Stein isn't a bad option for his price tag, so I like that. Wow. I would like that move as well. And
he's an asset,
right?
I don't know that they.
Right, and they get a plethora of picks back. When you're looking at all the picks they just shipped out to get James Harden, they're at least getting I'd say a third or like half of those Tim, picks back. So
I don't know if they re-signed Tim or not. I don't know what his number will be. It's probably going to depend a lot on how he finishes out this year. And then James Johnson. Filler, maybe he can play a couple minutes for him. I don't see it being that crucial. But the biggest part's Brunson is their backup point guard. Dorian Finney-Smith would probably start for them as
maybe
their power forward.
Maybe. I mean, with the lineup they have out now, it's like I believe the starting lineup the other day was Kyrie, James, KD, Jeff Green,
148.
I know they need some. They definitely need defense.
The 29th ranked offense.
So Jeff Green would probably move back to the bench.
Yeah, there's no probably. Dorian Finney-Smith's 50 times. Jeff Green probably. Playoff time. Are we playing Jeff Green or Dorian? It's all going to depend. Dorian has next to no experience of last year's series in the playoffs. So, but that trade definitely makes them better. It gives them flexibility with a couple expiring, and it gives them a couple picks. I think it's the least likely one of all of them, but it's just the first.
Yep. So we can move on to the second one.
Yeah. So the second one we're going to do. This is one of the trades that you came up with, just the Raptors trade that you came up with. So in this one, we have Kyrie to the Raptors. That's it. And we have Lowry, a 26 second rounder, and then two firsts, 23 first and 25 first, both top 5 protected. And what are your thoughts on this trade?
When I was going through it, I was thinking about the Raptors as a whole. Lowry has been amazing. He's been probably the greatest Raptor of all time. But when I was thinking about just the options that were out there, I just feel like Kyle, you can get something better for what's around Harden and Durant with Lowry than you could with Kyrie. I mean, when you think about it, he's older just by a few years, but he's a way better defender than Kyrie, and he probably would just be able to mesh really well. I mean, we've seen him play with stars before. He was awesome when he was alongside Kawhi Leonard. I don't think it'd be an issue with him being alongside Harden or Durant. He's a great facilitator, and it would just add that defense. And what that also gives them the option to is an expiring contract. I mean, now the Nets get to not have to be so worried about their salary cap moving forward. If they want to re-sign Lowry, you're probably looking at a much smaller number than what he's making now. But
Yeah, I don't know how much smaller. It definitely probably wouldn't be 30. It would just, I mean, because I could see teams going after him for like a 1-1, giving him around 30, because he's still super, super good. He is
right.
36, 35, so you wouldn't get him long term. Maybe if the Nets are in the game, they give him 4 years, 20 something, 22 mil, something like that. I highly, highly, highly doubt that.
Right.
Uh, yeah,
I mean,
agree.
I
think
also
that,
like it for Toronto's side. I was gonna say just because we like Siakam. Siakam's awesome, but he's an awesome number two. And at this stage in Lowry's career, I wouldn't want to peg him to be my number one option. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And I just
yeah.
also don't think Siakam is skilled enough to be that guy. As we saw in their finals run, he was an amazing number two next to Kawhi Leonard. So you get someone who's more of an alpha, that number one option. Kyrie has that scoring ability to be that guy. So I just think for Masai Ujiri, he would love to, of course, get another star in Toronto. This isn't a bad option. You get Kyrie under 2 more years of team control. Then you can build around him, Van Vliet, and Siakam moving forward. That's why I was like
Yeah.
thinking about both sides. I was like, this isn't a bad deal for both teams.
No, I agree. I think I don't know how far the Raptors' loyalty lies with Lowry, but
I mean, it didn't last long with DeRozan, so that's his best friend.
So, yeah. I mean, I like it. I like it. That's Lowry's fit is better than Kyrie. Way better. He's bigger than he is.
Yep.
And that should be their main concern right now. And then the two picks, obviously, are sweetener just in case Kyle walks. But
And I also put their top five
It's
protected in case, in the event that, Kyrie with all of his off the court, I don't want to call them issues necessarily, but in the sense, in the case, the Toronto can protect themselves in case Kyrie tomorrow says, I don't want to play basketball anymore. So
yeah, every single one of these trades is so risky because we have no idea what Kyrie will do.
right, he wanted to go to Brooklyn to play with his boy Kevin, and that's why he went to Brooklyn. I don't think he has a desire to go anywhere else, or else he would have when he was a free agent.
He could retire tomorrow.
Right.
And if he gets traded, I'd be even less surprised.
Right.
So yeah, I think that's more likely.
Yeah.
So
Moving on.
let's get on to the next one. We have this is one that I came up with to the Pelicans. Just 'cause they have a boatload of assets. They're one of the options. One of the teams in the league that could potentially do it. And I don't think they should. Only because I think they need to still do a little bit more roster building around Ingram and Zion and figure out what they're going to do with Melo going forward, or Lonzo rather. And I don't think they'll keep him, to be honest. But it's all going to depend on what the price is in free agency this offseason. So this trade has the Nets parting with Landry Shamet also with Kyrie, and they will receive J.J. Redick, who's on a $13 million 1-year expiring deal. And he's already made comments on his podcast, Old Man of the Three, that he is trying to win because he doesn't know how much time he has left. So I wouldn't be surprised if Redick re-signed with the Nets if they did trade him. So they're trading for Redick. They're getting Eric Bledsoe for 3 years. And Eric Bledsoe's a solid point guard in the NBA. You can win games with Eric Bledsoe. You can win playoff series.
Great defender, no doubt. He's a great defender. I think that's just something they're missing. Of course, from the point guard position, no offense to Kyrie, he's just not the defensive type of player that Bledsoe is.
Yeah.
Just like vice versa, offensively. Bledsoe is nowhere near Irving, but...
Yeah. But yeah, exactly. They don't need that. So.
Right.
And then they'd also get Jackson Hayes. So Jackson Hayes reminds me of Jared Allen. I'm not going to lie. I think he's a little more raw at this point.
Yeah, they're almost the exact same kind of player.
Yeah, so they somewhat get their Jared Allen replacement, Jackson Hayes. I don't know how much you're going to play Jackson Hayes. Playoffs or crunch time of the NBA Finals. Is Jackson Hayes going to be out there guarding the rim? I mean, I don't know. This is a big year for him anyway. So they would be getting Bledsoe, Hayes, Redick. And then they would be trading 23 first rounder from the Lakers. They're 21 first. They're 21 second from Washington, which figures to be a high second round pick, and they're 22 second round overall pick for Kyrie. So the fit here, Kyrie would play point guard. I imagine Lonzo would play some too. I don't know exactly how that would work. I know Lonzo, he does need the ball in his hands. So going forward, I think they probably try to move off of him.
Right.
Like I said, it would all depend on what the price comes down to in the restricted free agency. And they just get another scoring weapon, obviously. Kyrie, we already know what he is. Don't need to say it again. Pair him with Ingram and Zion, Steven Adams. And I
don't know. You're looking at a very versatile and skilled lineup is what you're looking at.
Yeah, they just can't shoot.
No.
Can't shoot. Ingram can shoot, and I mean Kyrie can shoot, but neither of them are.
They're not off-ball players.
Guys.
They're not off-ball players. They need the ball in their hands. You're looking for the Reddicks that you just traded away, and you're hoping Shamet can maybe be somewhat of that. You know, he's such a cheaper number and younger, and a better defender than Reddick. So like that at least looks like an upgrade on paper.
Yeah, Shamet just hasn't. Shamet is just your hope. Whoever's getting him is just hoping that he can somewhat return to form he was the Clippers trade, because he has taken a big dip ever since that deal happened. But he was a rookie, so
right.
He's still a young guy in the league. He should be able to build defense, hit a couple shots for you, help you spread the floor a little bit. So, I mean, it's an option. If the Pelicans want stars, if they want to try and pair Kyrie with Ingram and Zion moving forward, and then their hope is to fill out the rest of the roster, then this is an option. I don't see how they don't pick up the phone and try to get it done.
Right, and based off of this like mock trade you made, they still get a chance to hold on to a decent amount of their future as far as assets and picks go. You're only getting Kyrie for 2 years under control, and then he's got to opt out. Knowing him, being in New Orleans, he'll probably opt out, look for a longer deal with them, or move to a different market. But I mean, Kyrie is, regardless of his defensive deficiencies, he's just an upgrade over Eric Bledsoe. We all know that Kyrie's a top 15 player, and if you're looking at a starting lineup with Kyrie, Ingram, Zion on the floor, there's a lot of options and a lot of ways to score. And the shooting's not there, but that's what they'll do. They'll fill out the rest of the roster and put shooters around them, legit shooters. So I like this deal.
Yeah. The only thing is, I don't know the Nets do this. They get a point guard who can play defense. They get a center who can help protect the paint. They don't really help it. I think they need that. But they do get J.J. Redick, and he probably re-sign. That offense with Harden, Redick, Joe Harris is actually a good defender, so you can play Redick with all those guys.
Right.
And that'd be that offense is scary.
Redick, that offense
Harris,
is different.
KD and Harden, that spacing. I don't know. I don't know if there'd be a better spacing offense in history of the league, even competing with the Warriors.
Yeah, with KD on that Warriors team.
Because that is just something. So I mean, if you want to play to your strength and you're the Nets, I think this is definitely one to consider to do it. Mainly because you're also getting Bledsoe and Hayes for 3 years of control.
Right.
And that's important for them because they don't have a lot of. They're actually highly above the cap, so they can't just go out there and pick up free agents. They have to use minimum. So if they're gonna, they could be wrong, but I think they'd be able to use bird rights on Redick.
Quite possibly. I think this is his second year.
I could be wrong, but I also wouldn't be surprised if he took a minimum.
Right. At this stage of his career, at his age, if he's just going out there and you're just relying on him to just bang some threes. Right, he's trying to win and just bang some threes. I mean, that's the kind of player you want out there. He'd be there. If he was on the minimum, he'd be there Duncan Robinson, and Joe Harris just got the bag, so they already paid for a shooter. There's no need to go out and pay for a second one. But the more the better. And that's what it comes down to in the league. The more shooters you have, the better you're off. So
that one probably more realistic.
yeah.
So, but that one I made before the Norvell Pell. I don't know how much Norvell Pell is going to affect you trying to still upgrade your backup center, but I think that was regardless.
Yeah, it's more of a depth move, I think. I mean, he's still young enough. Why not take a flyer? Nobody else was, so.
So, next one we'll do is this one that Nate made is the Jazz. The Jazz just plain. They trade Mike Conley on a 1-year expiring $34 million year, or $34 million deal for Kyrie, and they attach 2 firsts, 22 first, a 24 first, and then 1 second. That's a 25 second. So basically, you're just swapping point guards. Conley plays a little bit better defense than Kyrie at this point. He's not an all NBA defender anymore, but he's still a good defender, and he's a good point guard. He's a veteran point guard. You're comfortable playing him in crunch time. You're comfortable playing him with the 2 stars. In the playoffs, he's not afraid of the moment. He almost sent the Nuggets home last year. That ball rimmed out. I thought that one was going in, but yeah, so what are your thoughts? How do you feel about
Yeah, I mean, this one was similar in my head as we were going through the teams. I was just thinking more of a similar to a Kyle Lowry trade with the Raptors. Just kind of a point guard who's still really good on the fringe level of all-star capabilities, who can just go out and defend, doesn't need the ball in their hands to impact the game. And that's the difference between Kyrie and Conley and Kyrie and Lowry. That's why I like this deal. You're throwing in 2 firsts and a second. Once again, this is just how you value Kyrie. If you're a franchise that thinks, if we trade for Kyrie, is he going to just stop and quit on us immediately? Is he going to quit basketball? What's the deal? You got to still look out for your future. The thing about Utah is I don't see them not being a playoff team for years to come, so you don't have to protect those picks. But Mike Conley has been showing shades of his old self. The reason he got that max contract deal so many years ago in Memphis, he's starting to show those shades again in his game, and he looks healthy out there. So I just think it would be an upgrade defensively for Brooklyn, and you're just still getting once again like a fringe all-star on an expiring deal. Hopefully, to give you something, and then if it all works out well, you can look back into re-signing him in the offseason.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think the intriguing part would be Kyrie alongside Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert and those guys that they have out there. That'd be another offense that just go up another notch. That'd be interesting to see. I would like to see that.
Yeah, I mean, just imagine, a backcourt of. We thought the backcourt of Conley and Donovan was going to be so much fun to watch. And of course, granted, Conley has had his issues with injuries and whatnot, and just trying to get a feel. But imagine a backcourt with Kyrie and Donovan Mitchell. I mean, what are defenses going to do? I mean, they're scoring coming in so many options and ways, and then when you've got Gobert rolling to the rim, and you've got Bogdanovich or Ingles in one corner or Clarkson in the other, it just, I think their offense would just be clicking, and their defense is already really solid. So
I think this is definitely a move you do for the Jazz, just because you have Gobert and he really enables you to do so much. You can be a little more frivolous with your spending on the offensive side because you have elite and also one of the best pick and roll defenders. I don't know where that myth came that Gobert can't protect or cannot play the pick and roll on defense, but he is one of the best pick and roll defenders in the NBA. He's one of the best defenders.
right, rightfully so.
I think that this would be extremely interesting to see on the Jazz side. It would almost be like the Nets with Harden, KD, and they're big, except the Jazz with Kyrie and Donnie obviously aren't as good as Harden and KD, but they have Gobert protecting the rim, and the Nets have DeAndre Jordan protecting the rim. So
you tell us who you'd rather have.
Yeah, exactly.
Leave a comment down below of who'd you rather have.
Right. We'll see a lot of. Thanks for tuning in to the NARP experiment. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And we will be producing 2 to 3 videos a week.
Continue to follow the channel for the hottest in sports content. I'll be coming at you guys with more stuff throughout the year. Thanks.
NARP, come watch, it's time, to the clock. Hitting like Ray off the block. Feel like MJ with the rock. Home run like Sammy Sosa. 2 clutch last period. Get ready, set, go. This a NARP experience. It's a NARP experience. It's a NARP experience. It's a NARP experience. It's a NARP experience.